Shifting focus now to Western Africa, amidst diplomatic spat between neighboring Niger and Benin. Unidentified assailants attacked a major oil pipeline that runs between the two nations. At least 6 Niger soldiers guarding the pipeline have been killed in the attack. No group has yet claimed responsibility for the attack, which took place in parts of the southeastern Niger, though the area has a presence of groups linked to the Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State. Now, this marks the first attack on security forces tasked with safeguarding the pipeline, which has been at the center of a row between Niger and Benin. After the attack, Niger has now shut the pipeline taps. The move signals escalating tensions between Niger and Benin. The nearly 2,000-kilometer pipeline runs from Niger's oil fields to the port of Seme in Benin, where Niger's crude is loaded into tankers for export. This means Niger is dependent on Benin for its oil exports. But in May, Benin blocked the shipment of oil, accusing Niamey of refusing to reopen its border to trade. Though Benin and Niger traditionally shared good ties, tensions began to brew after the July 2023 military coup in Niger and the arrest of the country's democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum. Benin, which is a member of the West African bloc ECOWAS, condemned the coup and imposed sanctions on the Nigerian military regime. In response, Niger's military closed the borders with Benin. The border closure began hurting Benin's economy, so the country decided to take a softer stance on Niger's junta. Benin's president has repeatedly called on Niger's military rulers to collaborate and reopen their side of the border. In return, Benin would allow Niger's oil exports via its ports, but Niger's junta has so far refused to agree. Another flare-up erupted last week as well, when Benin authorities arrested 5 Nigerian citizens at its Seme port, and they were accused of entering the port illegally using fake documents. Benin says that 2 of the 5 arrested are agents working for the Niger junta. Niger, on the other hand, accused Benin of kidnapping 5 of its nationals. Now, Niger's military junta said those arrested were a team from the Nigerian Chinese oil company, and they were there to monitor the loading of Niger's crude oil shipments to China. As the spat deepens, both the nations are facing the economic repercussions. Niger is losing out millions of dollars that oil exports could bring to the landlocked nation, while Benin is suffering due to the halted trade with a major partner. Ultimately, it is the people in both nations who are bearing the brunt of the hostilities.
Fan of Italy's famous cuisine? Well, we are serving it with a side of diplomacy. As the G7 leaders gather in southern Italy, Vantage is taking you to the heart of the action. What's the agenda? Who is invited? And how is Italy preparing for it? Catch the special edition of Vantage throughout this week, only on Firstpost. Fan of Italy's famous cuisine? Well, we are serving it with a side of diplomacy. As G7 leaders gather in southern Italy, Vantage is taking you to the heart of the action. What's the agenda? Who is invited? And how is Italy preparing for it? Catch the special edition of Vantage throughout this week, only on Firstpost.